It's definitely not going to be 8 hours.
Send the tweet so you can retweet it.
Gotcha.
Refreshing like my stream as well because I'm watching the stream too.
Oh,
Like
look at
I
your.
have 3 screens set up here, right?
I need a cool thumbnail. Can you help my life? Look at your
I mean,
thumbnail. It's so cute.
yeah, well, it's like I think it's like the banner for that I used, which I just sort of made with PicMonkey,
You
I
made
think.
that?
No, like the drawing of me is something that a friend of mine did because she
Oh,
does art
man.
commissions and everything. So she was like, "Ooh, I what did I do for her? Oh, I donated to her Twitch stream or something." And she was like, "Oh, let me do like an art thing for you." And I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Well, I might need art for my channel." So, um, well, then that happened. That's a thing. So, you know.
That's so cool. Oh, crap. Where'd it go?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Right. Hey, I can see you again. That's nice. It's like really weird. It's like really weird just sort of talking to you while your face isn't here.
Oh,
So that's strange. Anyway. Well, I mean, I guess we're
Cheers.
live. There's one person watching and that person is me.
It's cool. Let's just make it like a chat, a live chat.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Sure. So, I
So we
mean, do you
really
want
don't
to
know
tell
each
my
other.
people on my channel who you are? 'Cause-
Yeah, yeah. My name is Ashley Collins. I'm American. Um, it sucks over here. Don't come over here. But I'm kidding. I'm kind of kidding. I'm kind of. Oh my god, that sounded so unpatriotic. Fuck. Oh my god, I'm gonna get so
Well,
much of. She doesn't like America. Oh god, I can already see it
no,
now.
like us, the Belgians don't really care.
And I have a YouTube
So,
channel called The Breakup Diaries. It's
yes,
mainly
which is linked in the description, or
Oh
should
yay,
be
it
linked in the
is.
description. Did I do
Yay.
that? I think I did that. Let me check. Yeah, I did that. Yay.
It's mostly about motivation and learning to love myself, and through that I hope that I spark some self-love within you. So that's
That's really
it.
cool. Cause I started like watching your channel. So cause I follow Michelle Guido on Twitter,
Mhm.
who's also like a feminist creator, or whatever. And I think I saw you tweet at her or her at you or something. Like I noticed you, and then I saw that you did this thing with this MGTOW guy,
Yeah.
which I really couldn't bear to watch all the way through. To be quite frank, and I'd
Imagine
want to,
being
I
me. Imagine sitting
time
through
to be
that.
yeah, well, I'd rather not, but anyway, so I saw that and then I was like, "Oh, she seems cool, so let me follow her." um, yeah, and I think then I tweeted something like, or I quote tweeted you about something that you said in one of your videos, and then suddenly you followed me, and I was totally flattered. So then, yeah, here we
No,
are.
I've been stalking your channel. Sorry about stalking your
Wait,
channel.
really?
I always feel so weird. Yeah, and the one that
Oh my
like
god!
I laughed out loud. It was a fanfic. I don't follow
Oh
that
my god!
one.
I enlisted
But
all of
you
those.
and you grabbed a bottle of wine and you were like, 1 second
Oh
before I
yeah.
start filming. You chugged a glass of wine. I was like, this chick is so awesome.
Yeah, that me. Well, that is so weird that you were like already stalking my channel. That I did not know that. That is new information for me. Um, cool. Well, yeah, great.
Okay, question. Um oh, okay, what are you drinking right now?
Okay, like white martini. I know this isn't a martini glass. Like I don't own martini glasses, but I was like, I can't put it in a regular glass because that just looks stupid, and I want to make it a little more fancy. So then I grabbed a wine glass. So that's the thing that happened. But white martini, the bottle's right there. So like there's a whole supply to get me through whatever this is gonna turn out to be. So that's cool. Like for everybody on your channel who doesn't know who I am, and everybody
Oh, yes,
someone
yes,
to my
yes.
channel who doesn't yet know who I am Amelia, but you can call me Ames. I'm a 30-year-old Belgian, which is probably going to be the reason why my English accent is going to mix itself up every so often. So, that's not something I can help. I make cover songs, or I made cover songs on YouTube. I used to do YouTube
Oh,
a lot more intensely, but then I stopped because I was like, no, I really have to come into my own. And it became like a lot of pressure, and it became this thing where it was like, oh, I have to put something out this week, and you start just making content for the sake of making content and having something to put out, not because you actually have something to say or show, which isn't really helpful. So then instead, with all the time that I gained, I wrote a book, which is why we're here today, I guess.
that's so cool. That's so cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. So what inspired you, other than having all this time in your hands, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, I've always used writing as a kind of cathartic thing, like whenever I struggle with something, or whenever I have a lot of thoughts about something, or when something happens to me, I have this thing that when I write about it, it just gets better. And I've always loved writing. I wrote a young adult novel when I was 12, which never got published. It was about like a cursed lizard lady and four friends trapped in a cave and something with a diamond. But um
That's so
so
cool.
writing, yeah, so writing has always been my thing, to like get a grip on the world, because I have a lot of thoughts, and my
Hmm.
brain just sort of doesn't stop. So I find myself like constantly thinking about everything, and it's all very confusing, because then I have one thought and it just jumps onto the next thing, and then half an hour later I don't know where I started thinking. So that gets confusing. So sometimes I'm just like, let me sit down and let me just write out all my thoughts. And
Hmm.
with Feminazi, with the book that's out now, it kind of went like, I get called a feminazi on Twitter like a lot. Um and I always find it really curious, because it's never because I say or do something that's like anti-male or like really extreme, um or something, but it's like the second certain people notice that you're mildly feminist in any way, they just jump to this feminazi thing and just sort of assume that you're super extreme in all of your ideas, and that you probably hate men, and that you're advocating for female superiority. And every time I just look at that, I'm like, you have no idea who I am, what I think. You just jump to this conclusion, and this is not the person that I am. This is not something that I see myself as. This is not the way that I behave. And it's really frustrating, because over Twitter you can't just like write a whole essay on why their opinion of you is wrong. It's not like these people really want to know, they're just there to insult you. So whatever. But then I was like, okay, but what about all these people who don't really know a lot about feminism, who are picking up on these ooh feminazi whatever crap, who maybe kind of buy into it but aren't very active in the whole gender equality or anti-feminism scene either, but they have like a whole bunch of like weird ideas about it. What if I could do something to like show these people that if I get called a feminazi, or when people accuse other people of being a feminazi without really knowing about their ideas, like it's not necessarily accurate. So here's a story, here's a book, here's who I am, here's my experience, so you can judge for yourself whether you think that all feminists are like extreme weird man hating bitches or not. I'm pretty sure that if you read it, you have to conclude that I'm not, whether
No.
you agree with feminism or not. Like, so that was kind of this thing. I was frustrated, and I was like, damn, let me, I just want to write about why this feminazi thing is bullshit. Um, and a way to do that was my own experience. So, yeah.
And forgive me. Um, so when you were writing, was there any kind of like, okay, this is going to be this chapter, this is going to be this chapter, or were you just like, oh, there happens to be a structure to this after you were done with everything?
Well, that idea came kind of halfway through, because I originally started writing it on Wattpad. Like the idea wasn't originally to write a book. I was just sort of making this kind of getting my thoughts straight on, okay, like what makes me a feminist? Why did I become this? Why did I choose this? What led up to it? Because I thought it was important to kind of be able to show that perspective and that context to people. Um, And I started writing certain things on Wattpad, and it just started like, okay, what's a logical thing to start with? It's like, okay, when I was little, when I was young. So I started there, and one thing led to the other thing, and then halfway through I was like, okay, well, I mean, I kind of see a structure. So maybe I can like make this into a kind of, okay, early experiences thing. And then I noticed that there was a lot about like body image issues and sex. And so I made that a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of gradually came to be throughout the process of writing it, I guess. So yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Because I always have people ask me, or talk to me, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know, like how to get started. Where do I get started?" I'm like, just fucking, it'll come to you
Yeah.
naturally. Like it'll start
Yeah.
clicking to you, and like you just gotta fucking write it down. You just gotta
That's
fucking
true.
do it.
Yeah.
You
That's
know.
absolutely true.
That's really cool. That's really inspiring. Yeah, the title of the book. I'm sure that makes a
Yeah.
lot of people uneasy. You get that a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, if I had titled it like just feminism or how I became a feminist or whatever, that's fucking boring. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you see like feminazi, it's instantly like, whoa, hold hold on.
Yeah.
It's a little provocative, and I can imagine that for feminists, if they don't know that I'm a feminist and what the premise of the book is, and you see a title like that, it can be like a kind of what the actual fuck is this?
Yeah.
Um
I
so to make it perfectly clear, it's
was
not a
when
anti-feminist
when I
manifest. Um yeah, no,
when I
but
read
it's
the
like,
first page. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah,
No.
no, it's like, no, you go ahead, go ahead. So
No,
my
when I read the first page, I was like, please don't say let's kill all men. Like I like men. Like I want them around. Like I was like, oh, this
no,
is nothing like that. This is like I definitely went in with judgment. I'm like, this is nothing
wow.
man
Yeah.
hating at all.
No, like the point is really the juxtaposition of this term that anti-feminists throw around like, like it's nothing, and like it's everyone who has any kind of feminist principles, and the content of the book, which really shows like the contrast with that, like what the thing that you call a feminazi is this, and if you really listen and if you actually read what this is, and if you actually know what you're talking about, you have to admit that that doesn't really fit the term. And I'm not saying that there aren't crazy people in the world who
Oh my god, yeah.
don't fit that term, because there are.
Oh
There
my god, yeah.
absolutely are. But it's just like a person with my ideas, you can't logically, after reading this, be like, well, I mean, there's a justification for calling you a feminazi. That's just, and the contrast of that is kind of what I wanted to point out. Like it's literally like the book is called Feminazi. It's literally anti-feminists judging me by my feminist cover. Like that's basically what it is. So yeah.
Dope, dope, dope. I think you kind of answered. I was going to ask you what was the hardest part, but like I think you kind of answered that already.
Well, I don't know. The editing was the hardest part, if I have to be honest.
Really? Okay,
Oh yeah.
elaborate on that.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
because
elaborate on
the thing
that.
is, I wrote the book in English,
Mm-hmm.
because like, okay, my English isn't bad, but I'm not a native speaker. But like, if I'd written it in Dutch, basically nobody reads that. So I wrote it in English, which means that and I don't have the budget for a professional editor, which means that I had to go through
No,
numerous times to
no,
get
you
out all the
didn't.
typos and the spelling mistakes, and after doing that a couple of times digitally, I then got a hard copy, and then I had to go through that a couple of times again, found mistakes, found more mistakes, most of them typos, but still. So then when I was finally like, okay, this is fine, this is good, I can publish this. There's like no more mistakes left. I published it, and then I ordered like a good copy for myself, like one that I thought all the mistakes were out. This is like a finished product. Let me order that for myself. So I have a copy for myself. And I read through it again, and I found another 40 typos.
No.
So I edited that, uploaded a new version, and now people are telling me that there's a point where I apparently switched yours, where I used like a possessive your, where it had to be like a contracted you are, which is something that I know how to do. And this probably just happened by like wrong autocorrect accident, but like the over the dozen times that I reread that to get out grammar errors and spelling errors, I did not catch it, so it's still in there.
Oh no.
But I'm literally like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I spent so much time on this. I find books, professionally edited books with spelling mistakes in them all the time. This is fine. It's good. It's
There's
okay. It's
tons.
like
There's tons
what
in the
else?
Twilight series.
Oh
There's
yeah.
tons in the Twilight series.
Yeah.
Like, and like she's never gone back and edited it. She's just like, I've made $1,000,000. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, deal with the fucking camera issues.
I mean, yeah, it's just I spent so much time on that. Like I think I spent twice the time on editing this and getting it actually like published than I spent on writing it. So, you know, yeah, fucked up shit about writing a
That's
book.
crazy.
If you ever write a book, make sure you have a budget for like a professional editor so you don't have to do it yourself. It's really horrendous. Um, yeah.
Best. I don't know if I said this, but your book is pretty fucking awesome. I'm sure you hear that all the
Oh,
time. And
thanks.
like,
Oh no. I think like 12 people bought it. 6 of which were my personal friends. So
oh, you have good friends.
yeah, well, I mean, they're very nice. Yeah, they don't really share my feminist ideology per se, but it's they're nice enough to like buy the book and actually read it. So that's yeah.
That's so awesome. No, I loved it. Like I try to always read, period, in life. Um, I'm always looking for like good books to read. I think right now there's a huge dry spell in the world where there's like books that I haven't read. Like I don't want to.
Okay, great. You're freezing up for me.
Oh,
Stop.
better,
Yeah,
better.
better. Okay, so I heard the dry spell, and then what?
Okay, I think there's a dry spell right now in the world of
Mm,
like good books.
yeah.
And I don't want to reread all the classics from like elementary school. Like I've been there. Like I've read The Great Gatsby 1,000 times. I don't need to read it again. You know, so I'm always trying to look for something new, something engaging, and like just the language that the way your book is written is just like it was just fun to read. For
Oh,
lack of
thanks.
better phrasing, it was so fun to read. And yeah, segue into, are you ready to be brainwashed by the gynocratic agenda? That was the best.
Yeah, because I remember that you sent me like a private message right off the bat, like I read the first sentence and I'm already in love with this book or something. Yeah, that's yeah. I thought, you know what? Why not start with a joke? Because the thing is, you can't take yourself too seriously in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse than advocating for something and then writing. There's a difference between if you're like having a debate with like some troll who's like really insulting you, like by all means, if you need to or want to stand up for yourself, stand up for yourself. And if you want to take that seriously, then fine. But I'm writing a book that's on my own time, on my own terms, and I'm not engaging in like a direct dialogue with anyone. So why can't I be like a little self-deprecating or sarcastic or I mean, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like feminists who read this will immediately get the joke. They'll
Yeah.
immediately be like, oh, cool. This is a play on like anti-feminists constantly assuming that we're out for female superiority. Ha ha, how ridiculous, right? Um, super hardcore anti-feminists will probably read this and take it seriously, which is only testimony to how really super ridiculous their take on things is, and how much to like conspiracy theory like ideas they have about this. But then there will be people who are kind of like in the middle or sort of uneducated about things who will sort of be triggered by this and who will kind of read this and be like, hold on, does she mean this? Is this a joke? What the fuck is a gynocracy? So, um, yeah, no, I thought like this is a good way to just show, especially people who aren't really down with feminism and who are sort of skeptical and who are thinking like, okay, maybe they are sort of all a little extremist and whatnot, to show them that hi, like we're not just all stuck up, stick up the butt, like super serious monsters who want to murder you for saying dumb shit, because that is
Yeah.
just not the thing. I mean, people accuse me of being like too politically correct and too humorless all the time. But
Hmm.
I think this is laughing pretty hard at my own feminist ass. So yeah, that happened.
What would you say? What, as a feminist, what do you want from society? That wasn't one of the questions. Sorry, that wasn't one of the
No,
questions. Sorry.
that's fine. Like I can improvise. Uh, no, the thing I don't know what I want from society. I mean, like I know what I would think is utopia, which is an inachievable something. Like if we just throw out the whole gender thing and stop caring about whether people have dicks or vaginas, and I mean, or how they identify, let's throw out all the labels. Let's just not do that anymore.
Hmm.
Um, I think I wrote that in the book too. Like I feel like I could happily exist in a world where the only people who have any business with my genitals and my reproductive system are my doctors and the people that I want to make babies with. So like
Yep. Yep.
otherwise, I don't see why people need to know what sex I am, what gender I identify as, in order to make an assessment of who I am or of my character,
Mhm.
because I don't think that really hardwire relates to any sort of identity thing. And that's not to say that I don't think identity has, or gender identity has merit in this society today, because like we're not in that utopia, and we did make a bunch of social constructs and we do live in a world where people judge and assess others based on their perception of their sex and their gender. That's a reality that we have to deal with, and you can't just like snap your fingers and hope that that disappears and that you can exist without that. So we have to like speak about that in a way that kind of acknowledges its existence. That's just something that I can't work around. But if I could choose, then heck yeah, please. There was this thing I read about this couple who had a baby who kept the sex or of their baby secret from anyone but themselves and their closest friends,
Huh.
and who just raised their child like completely gender neutral. Like the outside world has no idea whether that's a boy or a girl or whatever. They're not assigning a gender to their baby because they're like, I mean, gender is an identity, and an identity is something that you do to yourself. You self identify. People can't impose that on you. So why should we decide if our child is like a girl or a boy or something else? Like, what's the point in that? And this kid is perfectly happy. And I'm like, why can't we raise all babies that way? That'd be awesome. That is what I would like. Um,
Wow.
if I had a choice. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any kids?
No, will not either. Like I'm not planning to do
Really?
the whole pregnancy, giving birth, risky business thing. No. If I ever find a person to have like a stable something going with, and if I ever decide like, okay, I might want to raise a little person, like a child in this world, then I will probably get one that already exists in this overpopulated world. So
I have a friend who's really big on that. She's really big
yeah,
about like there's children out there right now that are dying to be adopted. And
yeah,
I think that's still beautiful.
yeah. That's, I mean, yeah, I don't see why I should like put my body at risk, um if there's already so many kids without parents like waiting for a family to grow up in,
Oh my god.
right?
I'm
So
gonna get emotional. Sorry.
that's not to say if other people do want to put their bodies through that and do want like kids who keep their own gene pool alive, like fine, that's your choice, do that. I'm not about that life. So like yeah.
I'm always like on like the fence with it. Like on one hand, I don't want kids because I know with my mental health issues, I don't want them to turn out like
Oh
me, you know? Like,
yeah.
oh my, I'm gonna be always worried about like, are you okay? Are you happy? Like, I want to make sure you're happy, you know?
Yeah.
But then on another hand, like, I want kids in a selfish way. Like,
Mm,
I want someone to know that they're gonna love me forever, which is very
yeah.
selfish, which means that
Yeah,
like I definitely
true.
should not be a
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah, that's like a thing that because I have mental health issues of my own, and I at the moment, like, I'm not excluding the possibility that at one point I'll be at a place in my life where I'm happy enough and like have worked through enough of my baggage to be able to raise a kid in a balanced, decent way. But right now I just like feel like I would project a
Oh
lot
my
of
God.
issues onto that kid, like,
Oh my God.
because I've been through so much bullshit myself, and I am very like into the whole you have to raise your kids in a gender critical way and whatever, but I am also scared of like overemphasizing things about body image issues, etc., and so forth, just to compensate for my own like lack of decent dealing with that when I was like a kid or a teenager. So which is too much of the other thing then, and I don't want to do that to my kids. I don't know how that's going to turn out. So
Yeah.
right now I'm just like, I'm not equipped to raise young people at
Yes.
all.
No. Oh my God. At
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Just little side note. I teach dance classes, and
Uh-huh.
one day one of my students, she was wearing a tank top and like her bra was showing, and the other students were like, "Your bra's showing. Hide your bra showing." And like
Oh
I
god.
snapped. I said, "It's just a bra. Leave her bra
Yeah.
alone. We all wear bras."
Let her
Like,
go.
and I'm like, "Oh my God, that was so like I'm projecting my like beliefs on them. They're so young. Like
Yeah, but still, like, it is just a bra, and it's
it
not that
is.
people should suddenly start undressing and start dancing around in their underwear, but it is just a bra. You can just kind of say like, "Oh, hey, hold on, your strap showing." Like, I'm just letting you know because that's the thing. But just
Yeah.
don't be so anal about it, right? It
Yeah,
just
she's a developed like teenager. Like she's
yeah,
developed early. Like sorry, you guys are jealous. Sorry.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Back to the book.
Mm.
Oh my God, this part right here. I have to pull it up.
Like, I literally have a copy of the book right here in case you start talking about something and I don't remember writing.
Oh
Yeah.
no. This part right here. I had to put the book down. Um,
Oh wow.
and like I had to walk around because that makes so much sense. Um, the note that I sent you it's a matter of experience,
Yeah.
and it's always a matter of experience upon remark upon occurrence.
Yeah.
Um, just saying how that like what's normal
Mm.
to society is it's very individual. Could you
Yeah.
just elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I know a lot of people who sort of um who aren't down with feminism who assume that I'm a feminist because of some kind of trauma. And I see that all the time that a lot of anti-feminists are like, "Oh, you were probably raped and now you hate men." And I mean, to be very clear, I was raped. That's not the point. But the thing is that that is not why I'm a feminist. It started like so early, and it's not this one single standout experience that is very obviously not okay and not normal and somehow traumatizing. It is literally the collection of very small things, like everything from how I was raised to the way I interacted with my peers in school to what teachers told me, like all the little things, all the little cues you get about being a girl or being a boy and how you're supposed to behave and how that's different from how your brother's supposed to behave, and like
Mm-hmm.
all these super like little things. It's a thing upon a thing upon a thing, and I think that became very clear in like the whole thing about body image, where it's not just reading a magazine and seeing dieting tips, and it's not just reading a magazine and seeing a thin model, and it's not just your parents telling you to no, don't eat cheese because you'll get fat and you won't get fit into any cute clothes, and it's not just this one guy who's like, oh no, you're not skinny enough for me. It's like the collection of daily influence of all these little things, of like magazines full of fad diets and full of like skinny Photoshop models and girls around you constantly telling you like, oh, she's so much prettier than me because she's thinner, and the boys around you being like, oh, she's hot but she's not because she's fat, and your parents telling you, oh, if you don't eat healthily you'll get fat and you won't fit cute clothes, and not just telling you once but telling you over and over again, and seeing all the girls in your class go on diets all the time because they feel ugly. It's like, it's not just one person who this one time bullied me for being fat or something. It's just, it's really a collection of constant microaggression, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's so interesting. Uh, the childhood
Yeah.
chapters, sections really really resonated with me. First off, thank you for being so honest and being so vulnerable and writing that,
No.
because I'm sure that was not easy.
No.
I don't, like, I really don't have like a filter or anything like that. Like, if there's something in a movie like people look away from, like, I'm like, ooh, like I want to rewind that again, you know. Like, so like but I can see how people could be like, oh my god, I can't read this because it's too much. um Growing up female, could you just elaborate on what it's like growing up as a girl,
It's really
if
shit.
that sentence?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me it was really shit, and it took a while for me to realize that it was shit, in part because I had a vagina. That a lot of things that made it shit and a lot of experiences that made it crap only happened because I have a vagina.
Mhm.
Like, and the thing is, like, it's especially because the whole, my brother getting cars and me getting dolls to play with, even though my brother liked playing with the dolls and I also wanted to play with the cars but never got them for my birthday. He did.
I think you said something about a
Yeah.
lawnmower.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
god.
like my parents weren't really people who very actively enforced gender roles, but
Yeah,
my
yeah.
mom did the dishes, my dad mowed the lawn, so my
Yeah,
brother
not
took
in
to
a
like mowing the lawn
not
to help out, right? And so I, for the longest time, did not know how a lawnmower worked. Did not know how to turn it on
still
because that was
don't.
not something that, still don't, like, that's not something I
Yeah,
ever,
no.
like, boy thing. That was something that my brother did, like, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a thing. But I think, like, those are all things. That's all true. That's all a thing, like gendered, like, patterns and who takes care of which chores, what kind of interests are meant for whom. That's all a thing. But I think that the biggest part for me was, like, the biggest influence on my existence was the whole impression, the whole narrative that was created for me in terms of sex. Like, what are women supposed to do with their sexuality? Who is it supposed to serve? How is it supposed to be expressed?
Hmm.
And that was, like, for my entire existence, and that started like in primary school. That started so early. um Everywhere I turned, it was this onslaught of information and experiences that all said your sexuality needs to be passive. You're a girl, so you're not supposed to crave this. It's a tool you're supposed to use to get boys to like you. It's a thing which determines how much you are worth to the men in this world. And to be worth something at all in this world, you need to be worth something to men. So that is what sexuality meant to me, has meant to me for a very long time, and that left me extremely vulnerable to dickheads and manipulation, and the idea that I had to be submissive, and boys would know what was best for me, and that if I wanted love and attention from anyone and wanted to be someone and worth something in this world, I should allow like boys to take advantage of me. And to this day, I am 30 and I still struggle to really express what I want.
Mm-hmm.
sexually to like really go after what I need. Um, and sometimes I find myself in a state of mind where I'm like, yes, I'm feeling very empowered. Like I know what I want. And next time I meet someone and I have sex, and it's gonna be fine because now I know how to communicate about it, and I know where my boundaries
Yeah.
are. And then if the person I'm having sex with, guy, every single time again to this day I feel small and I
Mm.
feel super insecure, and I can't talk to him, and I'm just worrying about what does he want, is what I'm gonna do good enough for him, is this gonna be pleasing to him, am I gonna put on a good enough act so he wants to see me again afterwards. That is something that's
Oh my God, yes.
mind, even though I know that that is fucking bullshit and that is not
Yeah.
what I want. But that's still a thing, and I think that is the hardest part of having grown up and like being socialized as a girl.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my God, that's so, oh my God, that's so real. Oh my God. Um, oh my God, this sentence right here. Kids sexually harassing kids is not a problem. If they bully us, that means that they like us.
yeah,
That is a
yeah,
huge issue that I
yeah. It
see.
is.
Like I said, I teach young kids, and I see it all the time. I'm like, don't talk to her like that. Don't
Mm.
touch her like that. And it's frustrating that I'm the one who has to tell them that.
Yeah,
Like, why aren't your parents telling you
yeah,
this?
yeah. And the thing is, like, it's not just because I had a couple of experiences that I wrote about in a book, like going as far as the boys in my class being like, if you show us your vagina, we will not ignore you and let you play along at age like 9 or something. Like how is how does that happen? But there is this constant message that if the boys tease you, it just means they like you, and that's a good
Yeah,
thing. You want
but
boys to like
do you think that's so active as an adult? That's a still thing. That's still a thing.
I mean, I think that there are a lot of people who still kind of buy into that. I mean, I know, I meet a lot of people who still buy into this crap. Like I hear people give each other dating advice where it's like negging is the perfect example of that. Like negging is the thing where you sort of give someone a backhanded compliment, where you sort of compliment them, but then simultaneously it's like an insult.
Oh my
Um,
God, I hate that.
yeah, so look it up. It's like a pickup artist trick thing, but the whole concept of negging is like tease or pester this person, and the point of it is sort of like get their undermine their confidence, but simultaneously make them pine for your approval somehow. That's,
What?
yeah, it's like a really messed up bullshit type of thing, but in the end it's sort of like the same. I mean, anyway, it's just like I saw this. There was this little clip going around of years back already, I think, of this 2 or 3-year-old boy and a girl the same age, and this boy was constantly trying to like hug her or get a kiss from her or whatever, and this girl wasn't having it, so she was constantly like sort of turning away, pushing him away, to the point that at one point she pushes him so hard that he falls down on the ground. He gets up and he goes back to try again. And these adults standing around are filming this, and they're laughing and they're like, oh, it's so cute. Oh, look at the kid. But what are you teaching your children? Like, if you, this is literally teaching
Oh my
toddlers that it's
God.
okay if someone's like, no, I don't want this, don't touch me, that it's endearing and that it's cute, and that it's like the right thing to do to get back up and just try again and keep pushing. That is the
Yeah.
message that that gives. Like, and it's not just in interactions between children, because I have a lot of friends who have kids now, and I meet a lot of
Mm.
people who have kids. And there's this thing they do when when I arrive or when I say goodbye. They're like, "Oh, give Aunt Amelia a hug," and these kids maybe don't want to give me a hug. And it happens that these parents are like, oh no, you have to give her a hug or maybe just a kiss or something. And they sort of try to force their kids into physically saying goodbye because they think it's polite, but that is, I mean, I'm just like, that is completely going against the physical integrity of your child. um yes, you should teach your child that it's polite to say goodbye, but they can do that by verbally saying goodbye and waving. There's no need for me to touch that child if that child is like, I don't want to like touch you.
Oh
And
my
the
God.
thing is, parents, they don't mean bad by that.
No, no,
But I'm
no, of
just
course
saying,
not.
like, they just don't realize that that way you give children the impression that it's fine in certain circumstances to just sort of cross their physical boundaries. And it makes them extremely vulnerable to child abuse as well, because they learn that it's normal and okay for like granddaddy or aunt such and so or uncle whatever to touch them or hug them or hold them in ways that they might feel uncomfortable with, and that then out of politeness and because this is family or a close family friend, they shouldn't say anything because it's normal. And that sort of, if you know that like the vast majority of child abuse happens within families or with family friends or coaches or teachers or whatnot, you're just making your child super vulnerable. You're not giving them the assertivity and the confidence in their own boundaries to just say like, no, I said I don't want you to touch me. It's not okay for you to go ahead and do that anyway. So that is a really dangerous thing that parents do. And I find that I always try to broach this topic sort of politely and try to explain it. And I find
Yeah.
that people are often really offended, like you're insulting their parenting skills, like you're basically telling them that they're just setting their child up to be abused, kind of. And it's just
No,
like,
yeah.
I'm just trying to give you really valuable information that is not so hard to apply and maybe just even listen to, like, why are you making me the bad person here? But
Hmm.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so real. And I never even really considered that because it was in my family, it was very big, like always hug granny,
Yeah.
hug hug uncle, they're leaving. And I never felt comfortable doing it
Yeah.
ever. I'm like, why do
Mhm.
I must see you next week? Like, why do I have to hug you?
Yeah.
And wow, wow, it was like an aha moment for me. I had a I had actually one of my followers wanted me to ask you a question.
Okay. Wow, that's so cool. I feel so famous. Thank you,
um,
person. Yeah, go ahead.
he wanted to ask if you could change one, two. Let's limit into like three things.
Yeah.
About the way sex ed is taught in school, if it's
Oh,
even offered. What would you change?
okay. Well, that is a tough topic because sex ed in Belgium is not nearly the same as sex ed in the US, as far as I understand.
Really? So
Yeah,
let's talk
no,
about that. Let's talk
because
about that.
like because Michelle is doing like a petition, right, on
Yes,
change.org
yes.
to get like because apparently, as far as I understand, sex ed in the US right now is that no form of sex ed is federally funded unless it's abstinence only education, right?
Yes. Lots of
Okay.
talk of abstinence. Broke that
Okay.
rule.
So there's like there's no obligation for schools to like talk about condoms or other forms of birth control, or to
um,
discuss like relationships and consent and negotiating sex, because apparently you're not supposed to have it like that.
yes.
I mean,
It was it
okay.
was a lot of it
Wow.
was a lot of talk of abstinence. Like we took the whole vow. Like I'll wait out
Oh
until I'm
my
married.
god.
Yeah. It was a lot of talk of STDs. A lot of
Mhm.
talk of STDs, which for
Yeah.
me, like I thought that was very helpful for me because
Mhm.
it encouraged me to one wait and to use condoms because those pictures are disgusting.
Yeah.
Um, not a lot of talk of relationships. No, we didn't talk about relationships at all. Actually, I remember very specifically. I feel so ashamed for even saying this out loud. There was a guy sitting next to me in class, and he was just so. To me, he was like the hottest thing. So I wasn't even really paying attention most of the time because I was so distracted because we were talking about sex. And I'm like, oh, I want to have sex with him. um, but yeah, not a lot of talk about like the feelings of
Mm-hmm.
it. Just
Yeah.
like, don't have sex or you'll have an STD and you'll die. Period.
Jesus Christ. Okay, no, look. The thing is, where I'm from in Belgium, the rule is like, especially like these days, because I graduated high school 12 years ago, so that's a while. No, 13 years ago. Wow, that's a while. Um, so it's different already now than it was back in my day. Like I hear that there is more focus on relationships and boundaries and a little on consent, but still not like everywhere. But in my day, um there was a lot of talk about like STDs and
Yeah.
how reproductive stuff works and about
Mm-hmm.
menstruation, and about pregnancies, like that sort of thing. But there was never this kind of don't have sex thing. Sex is bad. Sex has nasty consequences, even though we were
Wow.
discussing like a lot of nasty consequences of sex. Like that was a thing. You weren't talking about the pleasure of it, but there was a lot of info on like condoms, birth control, how to use them accurately, and a lot of emphasis on, okay, look, if you're having sex, use the condoms or
Mm-hmm.
take a birth control pill, protect yourself from all the nasty shit that can happen. It was never kind of like, it's not good for you to have sex, it's immoral to have sex, you should wait, like that's the only option you have. Like that was never a thing, even 13 years ago, like more than 13 years ago, because I graduated 13 years ago. So say like 15, 16 years ago, when I had like the last year of sex ed, that was never a thing. That's nearly 2 decades. And these days, it's like, okay, still not every school is talking about consent really, which is something that I think should absolutely be mandatory. Um, but like some schools are doing seminars, workshops with organizations who come in and have like a day or half a day where they talk about boundaries and sexual harassment and what that is. And I even for a national TV show here in Belgium went to such a thing where there was like a classroom of 15-year-olds, and we spent half a day like talking about, okay, slut shaming and what's too much cleavage, what is too short a skirt, is there even such a thing as too much cleavage or too short a skirt, is that a good excuse to like grope someone, or what is
Yeah.
sexual harassment, so we spent, and in mixed classrooms, so we spent half a day talking about that, and that was really really helpful. But not every school does that, and I think that they
They don't.
should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if I could like change three things about sex ed the way it is here, like for the US, stop doing the abstinence only bullshit. Like, what are you, the Middle Ages? Anyway, no, what I would change is, one, talk about consent and about what like sexual violence and what rape looks like, because we have like this super stereotypical idea of rape, but kids need to know about manipulating people and coercing people and about communicating accurately about what they want, and like taking, not just taking no for an answer, but also looking for, is this person really saying yes? Are they hesitant? Are they really like happy about what's going on here? Or is this just something that I'm assuming in my head to make myself feel better? Um,
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, Also, yeah, I really think that sex ed should also talk about LGBT people, like talk about bisexuality and gay people and trans people and non-binaries, etc. and so forth. Like, first make people know that they exist, um, to give actual accurate information so people stop thinking that we're all crazy or non-existent or sick, because
Yeah.
we're not. That's the thing. And then I had a third thing. Hold on. Oh yeah, right. Sexual pleasure. Like,
Yes.
yes, because sex is supposed to be fun. And you're not
Yes.
supposed to learn sex from porn. You're supposed to learn it from doing cool things with people you trust and respect in a comfortable
Yes.
environment in a respectful way. But in order to do that, you sort of need some basic information. about how orgasms work and about what is normal. Like, you know, if it were up to me, I would make sex ed like a weekly class, because right now I mean, at least in Belgium, it's sort of like part of a biology lesson, or it's sort of like a half day during the year where everybody talks about sex suddenly and STDs and everything. But like, make it an actual class, like an hour or 2 hours a week, where people talk about stuff like relationships, trans people, like gay people, where you talk about condoms, where you talk about rape one day, where you and where you can discuss, like, okay, this is a clitoris, this is the actually accurate anatomy, it's like not just the little nubbin on the outside, this is how it works. Like, discuss stuff like BDSM. You might be, people might find that weird and disgusting, but it's really
And
not.
I think, but I think the problem is like people think that like, oh, my child can never know that, but like your child probably is already
Yeah,
looking at it.
yeah, of course, yeah. And this is a factor that I find very hard to wrap my head around, because Belgium is a notoriously secular country. Um, but like, religion in the
Hmm.
US is so much bigger than it is here. Like,
Yeah.
Christianity has all but died out. Like, I have
Wow.
maybe two young people that I know who are Christian, but otherwise, like, even grannies are like, "What do you mean, God? Who?" Just, I don't know her. But
I don't know.
that's the
why do
thing.
you
Like, yeah,
why
I
do you think
feel.
that is?
Well, I mean, there's very good reason why Christianity in Belgium isn't really a thing anymore, which had a lot to do with the unapproachability and corruption of the church after World War II.
Wow.
But I mean, yeah, in short, people were getting really, really sick of clergy having a lot of power that other people didn't, and of them being like corrupt little bastards. So people are like, you know what? Fuck the church. We ain't doing that bullshit anymore. So that is why Belgium is even in Europe, like, the least, basically the least religious country you can find, which is good. Frankly, I have nothing against religious people. I have
No, definitely
something
not.
against the idea of religion as an institution imposing really harmful, like, ideas and even legislation onto, like, public service like schools. So, because I am very, very convinced that sex ed in the US could look extremely different if puritanical Christians got off their high horse and started getting a whiff of reality and realizing that the way they're dealing with their children's sexuality is a lot more damaging than what we're doing over here. So, just science, and there's studies actually proving the effects of all of this. So, yeah, it's a very sore point. Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God. Now I need to make a trip to Belgium.
Well, you're always welcome. Let me know when you get here. You can
You
have
are
some
so awesome. Science.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh man, now we gotta get heavy now.
Yeah,
We're
no, it's
like
fine.
on
I'm
this
ready.
high
I'm
note.
ready.
Now we gotta
Well,
get.
hold on. Oh, let me fill up first, because I need to get my drunk on for this part. No, it's fine. I'm really fat. I can hold a lot of booze.
No.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Oh
Like,
my
my
God.
BMI is, I think, is it over 35? Hold on. Oh, I don't have my chart up anymore.
Oh, you have a
Anyway,
chart?
I have a chart. Like, I don't even know how much I weigh in pounds, but it's over 100 kilograms, which is a lot. So there you go. Which also
See, like
means that I
I'm
can drink an
very
extra glass of wine or a martini. You know.
I'm like super competitive, like, which is why it's so hard for me to date, because like if you don't drink, we're not gonna get along, first of all,
Right. Okay.
and
Yeah.
second of all, like I went on this date with this guy once, and we had one drink, and I was like, I'm ready for another one. Are you ready for another one? He's like, oh no, I've already had too much. I'm like, this isn't gonna work.
Girl. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. But I am. Let me just sit my ass down real good.
Okay, heavy.
Yeah, shoot.
Okay. True rape.
Oh.
I love that you used that phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as someone who was just recently sexually assaulted,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
when you said in the sentence, a true rape victim remembers every single detail for fear
Mm.
that I'm paraphrasing, forgive me, for fear that
Yeah.
people are going to call us out and they're going to call us a liar. We
Yeah.
remember every single detail and we remember feeling paralyzed.
Mm.
And I remember with my recent situation, I called my friend and I was like, I don't feel right. I feel like that wasn't okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love if you could just like elaborate on that. Because I
Um,
find that with social media now, everyone's like talking about things that's happened to them, and
yeah.
everyone's like, oh, you're just overreacting, you're just
Mm.
overthinking it.
Yeah.
And if you could just summarize that.
No, okay. I will. I'll try. I'm not a person who's brief with our words generally. Anyway, uh, yeah. Look, I I have spent a lot of time on sexual violence because that is a big topic for me, and I have this friend who I also mentioned in the book who wrote a Dutch book
Yeah,
which
you
is
wrote that.
sadly not translated, but it is like the first book, at least in Dutch, of its kind where she really examines like what the what victims are and how they realistically respond and how that relates to the myths that we have about it. She also deconstructs a couple of myths that we have about perpetrators. It's in general just sort of a book deconstructing a lot of misinformation and misconceptions that people have about sexual violence within society, whether it is about what do victims behave like, what do perps behave like, or how does society judge sexual violence. So that's like a big thing, and I'm really really grateful that we became friends because like I don't really know other people to just in depth discuss those things with, and we can actually do that. And she also like she also works in like, how do I translate this, let's say that she works in sort of like a sexual violence liaison position between a center for mental well-being and um like judges and police, etc and so forth. And she goes to a lot of seminars, and she gives a lot of readings, and teaches a lot of classes just to make like police more aware of how, for example, memory processing and trauma victims works, so that they can also adjust their interrogation techniques according to
Mm-hmm.
that, etc and so forth. So that's kind of broadly the thing that she does. But throughout the years and all the time I spent on this, I learned that yeah, there is a very very stereotypical view of what acceptable rape is. And it sounds very wrong, but of the thing that
But it makes sense,
society
yeah.
at large just sort of accepts as rape and as bad and as traumatizing. um and this is often like a thing, like I'm often on about rape culture and how it's a thing, and then people always tell me like, but it's not a thing because rape is illegal and everybody knows that it's like a really bad crime and everybody feels bad for people who are actually raped. But there's the thing, you have a very narrow view of what it means to be actually raped,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the thing. Like, even in cases of things that are technically illegally rape, there are so many situations in which people will look at that and sort of say, like, well, I mean, was it really like that bad? Did she really say like no enough? Was she loud enough? Was it clear enough? Did they fight? I mean, I don't see any like broken bones or any bruises on your face. So like if it was that bad, wouldn't you have struggled? How do you mean, what do you mean your boyfriend raped you? Like, he's your boyfriend, or she's your girlfriend or whatever. You're in a relationship, so how bad can it really be if they want to have
Mm-hmm.
sex with you? Like, that sort of thing. And I explained that the stereotypical view, like the form in which people are most sympathetic and most readily accept something as real rape, is when your perp is a stranger. He's on the fringe of society, so he's like not a successful businessman, he's not a famous actor, he's not a guy who's good at football and he's probably going to get a scholarship, he's unkempt, he's not like a successful family man, because no decent dad would ever do something like that, am I right?
Yeah,
um
yeah.
yeah, right. So it probably happened like somewhere at night, in some obscure like alley or abandoned place somewhere, because who does this shit in public or in broad daylight? Or what do you mean you went on a date? If you go on a date, it's not rape, right? That sort of stuff. So there's a very stereotypical view of that, and the degree to which people can sort of move away from that and still accept something as sexual assault varies. Um, but there are plenty of people who were thinking like, if it wasn't like violent, it's not rape, which
Yeah.
completely excludes every single victim of manipulation or coercion or with a freeze response. So violence wasn't necessary. And it completely ignores the fact that most cases of rape do not take a super violent nature. And you see that in certain countries. You still and I'm not up to speed on what exactly legislation is in the US, but in a lot of countries you still see that the requirement for something to be legally a rape is that it happened with the aid of physical violence, or at least under threat of physical violence, as if rape itself doesn't qualify as violence,
Yeah.
or some weird reasoning. um so that's
Oh
the
shoot.
thing.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Sorry. I was trying to
Well,
grab my
we're
charger
going
like stealthily.
to
Trying to grab my charger because my phone's dying. Sorry.
yeah. Yes, we don't want your phone to die like in the middle of this. That would be a
Oh
shame.
my god. Yeah. I just need an iPhone. Start a GoFundMe. Someone get me an iPhone and an Apple laptop.
Yeah. But either way, like there are so many. You see this in like, nobody is going to come up and tell me that they've never heard about this shit. Like, yeah, but what were you wearing? How drunk
Mm-hmm.
were you? You probably weren't clear enough.
That's always the question too.
Good.
Always the
That's
question. How drunk were
yeah,
you?
yeah. So I mean, literally to just, that is why I wrote like an entire chapter almost describing acts of sexual violence that have happened to me, and pretty much all of them were situations in which people could really say things like, yeah, but you were drunk, or yeah, but you didn't really say no, or yeah, but why didn't you walk away, or yeah, but you took this guy home, so you let him in. That, like, all of this were situations from of which people can just say like, it's your own fault, or it wasn't rape, or you brought this on yourself, whatever, because I thought it was important to just illustrate like how bad those things do get and how big their impact really is.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine recently, I was at her place and we were having wine, and she had just read that part and she said, yeah, I have a comment. I was like, yeah, shoot. And she said, well, that part reads kind of like, it's kind of like you're rambling, and it reads kind of, it's kind of confusing. I had to stop like and read sentences again, and I got this feeling of like that you were rushing and of haste and of just, and I was like, yeah, well, mission accomplished. That was exactly the point of the way that I wrote that, because indeed, like, that chapter has a lot of very long
It
rambly
does. It
sentences, and like it misses a
it
lot of
does.
interpunction just to get across that sense of confusion that I had, and this whole angsty, like really rambly feeling that existed
Definitely.
in my mind. Like it's a sort of panic at the time that these things were happening, and I wanted to get across that panic and that confusion. And initially I was just writing these things down as they came to me, and I read that back, And at first I was like, do I have to like rewrite this and make the sentences shorter so that it's like understandable and so it's more readable? But then I was like, no, because this feeling that came back while I was writing it is exactly what it gets across in the way that it's here right now. And I need people to sort of get that, to understand that, because otherwise, if you have these misconceptions about sexual violence and you read a very well laid out, very clearly structured, very objectively almost written, you know, stuff about these experiences, it's very easy to dismiss the impact that it has. So I sort of hope that by writing it with a sentiment of what that did sort of makes it easier for people to comprehend how that can affect you, sort of, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so
No,
yeah.
it definitely like makes sense a lot. I don't know. I personally enjoyed it. Um.
Oh, I think you froze again.
Oh no! Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I'm
we're good now.
rereading this part,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
I was watching this TED talk,
Yeah.
and this woman was saying, how many of you have had uh, one night stands when you were intoxicated? And the majority of it was like, oh, I hate to assume the number, but I think she said it was like 80% women, and like it was like 20% men.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just feel like there's just like a responsibility as a male that
Mm-hmm.
if she's intoxicated, like I don't care, like she like if Amber Rose comes into your room and she's naked and she's drunk, like let her sleep.
Mm.
Like, just let
Yeah.
her sleep. Like
Yeah.
why is it so hard for you to grasp?
Yeah, true. And I
Sleep
think
on the
that like
couch.
the thing is, I have been accused by fellow feminists of being a rape apologist because I have a pretty nuanced view about the whole intoxication thing and when you should and shouldn't have sex under those circumstances. And for one, let me very clearly say that if a person is too intoxicated to consent and someone else goes ahead and has sex with them anyway, that that's wrong and that that's rape, and that even when that other person was also intoxicated, you weren't too intoxicated to actively like act
Mm-hmm.
upon another person. So in that sense, it's I oppose the idea that A and B were drunk, and if B was too drunk to consent and A was still in like was still fine enough to act even though B was incapable of like responding or saying something or whatever, A is in the wrong. If you drink and you actively still get in your car and start driving and hit a kid, you're still
Yeah.
wrong, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
said, I think that there are absolutely like gray area kind of situations where both parties are drunk and everyone's sort of like a little too drunk to make decent decisions, and they can probably do some shit that the night or the morning after they'll be like actually what, and also um and that there are situations in which like the following morning people can just be like, okay, well, this was regrettable, and where there is not really ill intent there. I think there's a huge difference between a person who really like takes advantage of a person who can't say no or is incapable of saying no, or maybe says no but is too intoxicated to like defend themselves
Mm.
or react. Hold on, where's my thinking going? Sometimes I'm like mid sentence and it's like, okay, but why? Yeah, or like a person who is also intoxicated but can still or still somehow act even though he gets no response or no consent or whatever, or two people who are drunk and like, yeah, let's jump each other's bones, then do that, and then the
Yeah.
following morning are like, okay, fuck, what happened? Because pretty much if you're like both drunk and both actively making bad decisions, I mean, that's technically like not rape. Like you're both making shit decisions. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Like in other scenarios,
Yeah.
it's like one of these drunk people is not making decisions and the other one is,
Yeah.
whether he's sober or drunk or she's sober or drunk. Because let's not forget that I know of a number of guys who were taken advantage of while drunk by
You know what?
women, right? Um, but the thing is,
I
like,
do I do
if you
hear
do,
that a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
I do hear that a lot, and
yeah.
it's like really like, are you like? But it's so true. It's so real.
Yeah.
That so
Oh yeah.
happens.
Oh yeah. Sure. I mean, I literally know of a guy who killed himself over that. But
What?
yeah. Hold
Oh
on.
my
I'll tell you the
god.
story in a second. But the point is, if you do have actually regrettable drunk sex, or if someone, man or woman, comes to you after you had drunk sex and is like, okay, you know what, I don't feel fine about this. I'm not okay. I feel kind of violated. Whatever. Instead of getting all stuck up about it and being like, oh well, but you wanted it yesterday evening, just be like, okay, look, I realized that we were drunk and I never meant to hurt you, and that's bad that you feel like crap about it, and I'm sorry that happened,
But
and I never
that's always
meant for you.
so hard
Just
for people to
it's
say.
not, but yeah, but it's not that difficult. I mean,
It's
it
not.
makes
It's
you
not.
not an asshole. And it probably means
Mhm.
that if you do that and if you empathize with this person the morning after, that they'll probably not go around and be like, oh my God, I was raped, because you didn't behave like a stupid, entitled asshole afterwards. If you hear this person out and if you're sympathetic towards the idea that, okay, they were drunk and okay, they didn't make the right decisions, and okay, maybe they sort of vaguely said yes or didn't really say no and you didn't pick up on it and whatever, and things happened, that this person afterwards is like, okay, I kind of maybe didn't want that and I don't feel good about it. Just can you just fucking just empathize. Just empathize. That's all you need
Exactly.
to do. That's literally
Yes.
everything you need to do. And this person will
Yes.
probably feel heard and they'll feel good about you and good about themselves that you said, okay, I'm sorry, that's not cool that it went down this way. I'm sorry that you feel like this. I didn't mean to hurt you. Right? A lot that can resolve a lot of bullshit. If you really didn't intend to harm someone, this response should not be difficult.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh my god. It's kind of a segue. Um
Oh,
I got into a huge argument with an
yeah.
ex-friend. We're not friends anymore.
Oh,
He
great.
sent me this video of this comedian saying how, oh, I don't know why women want to be like men. Y'all women have it good. Y'all have your own underwear store. Y'all have your own female gyms. And I was like, why the fuck would you send me this? This is not funny at all.
Mm.
There's nothing funny about this. And he's like, yo, you gotta chill. Like, I don't know why you hate men so much. You're so selfish. You're so inconsiderate. Like, he's just like going in on me, right? And I was like, I thought we are supposed to be friends, first of all. Second of all, the fact that you said all this negative stuff to me says that you have a lot of resentment against me.
Oh yeah.
Like, you think all these negative things about me, and that's not what a true friend is. And he's like, it's whatever, like it is what it is, like what are you doing later? And I'm like, no, like I'm telling you that you hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm telling you, you need to get over it. And I was like, why is it so hard for you to say fucking sorry?
Yeah. I mean, even if it's like a non-apology, even if it's like, okay, well, I'm sorry that you feel bad. I mean, it's still shit, but it's something. Like,
Yeah, he
but
was
how?
just so
Yeah.
he was just so like, oh, you think you're so much better than people.
Oh,
Da,
for
da,
fuck's
da. I'm
sake.
like, just say you're fucking
Yeah.
sorry.
How
Like,
how dare you not like the same jokes as he likes?
thank
How
you.
fucking
Oh my
dare you,
god,
Ashley?
it was
You
not
bitch.
funny.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean,
It was just so
um,
not funny. Like, oh my god, it was just disgusting. And like, do men really think that like because we have Victoria's Secret, which like no one can afford anyway, and I can't wear my bra in
look.
public anyway?
Yeah.
Like, so
Like, look, the reason that we have our own underwear stores originally is not because that's great for us that we can wear fancy underwear. It's literally so the guys we sleep with have something to gape at. That's
Oh
the
my
whole
fuck.
thing. Women have their own fancy underwear stores because men like to look at boobs in fancy bras. That's the whole
Yes.
thing.
Oh my fuck. Oh my god. That was just like,
Didn't I
wow.
write that somewhere like that even bras were kind of marketed to me not in function of how comfortable they are to wear, but in function of how hot I will look at them when a man looks at me before he's having sex with me. Like that is the deal with bras these days. I mean, no, that has
What?
been the deal with bras for a
That's
very long
genius. No,
time.
I never even considered that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally like if I see if I as a 13-year-old girl see like a bra advert with some woman with big boobs all perked up lying there in a super sexy hot pose, all glowy with smooth skin, looking at the camera like it's her lover, that is not for the sake of selling that bra to me, for the sake of its wearability and comfort and the support that it'll give me. That's selling me
Mhm.
an idea of what I can be in the eyes of men. That's what
Mhm.
that does. And that is some bullshit.
It is.
Right? Yeah. And like I'm not saying that there is not a scenario in which women can take that back and in which sexy bras can become an expression of their own sexuality and can be like converted to sort of their own agency and whatever that. I mean, sure, that's a thing. But in general, that's not the reason why they were marketed like that for like decades
Yeah.
and decades. It's just not. So yeah, but we're like really going off track here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
But
Okay.
it's fine. We
Sorry.
just like I'd like to get through all of your points so we don't have to like cut this in half and do everything else like later. Not that I don't
Yeah.
want to do more live streams with you, but I think we should do it about different topics. Perhaps.
I was literally just thinking this. Like, can we do this like once a month?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is like, I think this could be like a thing.
Yeah. It's definitely gonna be a thing. Right. Okay.
I love that you use the phrasing "Pretty Little Liars." At first, I thought you were gonna spoil the book for me because I haven't read it yet. I was like, I gotta skip this chapter.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really looking forward to reading the book. But that's so true. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like I think except for the editing of the book, I think that was the hardest part to write because
Well,
it was also so new, like admitting that I did that. Like thing is, there's this how am I gonna say this? So like for the people who haven't read it yet, it's like I have experienced a number of cases of sexual violence, but
hmm
they took such a shape that they weren't very typical occurrences of it, like not the kind of stereotypical thing that you would expect society to sort of immediately realize is actual rape. So,
hmm
because of this whole idea, and because of the fear that I would be blamed, that I would be mocked, that I wouldn't be believed, that I would not have any support if I were to come forward about what happened and the way in which it happened, um,
hmm
I told these stories in different ways. Like I did not say that something happened when nothing happened. I just said that it happened in a different way than it did. So if I was assaulted by like someone I knew, maybe even someone I had a crush on, um, in my own home, for example, I would tell people that this happened somewhere off the beaten path with a stranger that I tried to fight, even though in reality I froze over and couldn't really do
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So I sort of changed the details, just the circumstances in which something happened, in order to make it more palatable for society. Um, and apparently, like, I had no idea that this is something that a lot of people do, until I spoke about it with my current therapist and with my friend who wrote the Dutch book about, and who knows a lot about this stuff. So I had no idea that what I did was apparently a fairly normal response to trauma, which means that at some point I felt like I felt really ashamed and really guilty of doing this for years and not daring to like open up about it, because I talked a lot about rape and I did a lot of advocacy, and I felt like what I did here sort of invalidated all of that. um, but at one point I was like, no, I came clean about it to one of the friends that I told, well, lies to, in quotation marks, because I didn't lie about rape. I lied about the nature of the circumstances.
Yeah.
um so I told her about this because I felt bad about it, and because I felt like it was finally time to start processing this. All right. And
Yeah.
she responded to that really, really badly. um at first she was like, yes, well, this makes you the problem now, and you are the reason why women aren't believed. um but then
Man.
wait, hold on. But then she she asked me the question, like, what is some of the things that you made seem worse than they actually were, right? That's what she asked me. um and my feeling was like, this is exactly the reason why people lie about the circumstances of their assault, because some
Yeah.
people believe, or a lot of people believe, that certain forms of assault are worse, and more believable and more deserving of sympathy than others. This question that she
Mhm.
asked me was literally the reason why I couldn't come forward about what happened in the way that it happened. Um,
Mhm.
and I didn't really initially express those thoughts to her. So what I did was I gave her one of the things that did happen to illustrate that it was still rape. And I literally
Yeah.
told her, like, I didn't make anything seem worse. I made it different,
Mhm.
so that it would have elements that you, as a general member of society, were more likely to accept, so
Yeah.
that you wouldn't
Yeah.
tell me off, so that you wouldn't blame me for the same thing. Um, and in my explanation and in the story that I told her, I literally expressed the fear that she would think that this was indeed less bad and less traumatizing and less painful and less harmful. Um, and that I was afraid of that. Um, and she didn't respond to that. She just didn't
Hmm.
reply, hasn't replied for weeks. I haven't spoken to her. This is like my oldest friend. I haven't spoken to her in weeks after that. And
Wow.
recently, like, while initially when she told me, like, you're the problem now, you're the reason that women aren't believed when they talk about rape because you lied about rape. Um, my initial reaction to her was, well, it's a vicious cycle, and because I lie out of fear of not being believed, and then because I lie, people aren't believed. But that is really not what happened, because I didn't technically lie about something happening. The thing is that people like her are the
Mhm.
reason people like me feel like they can't actually tell their story, and that people like me feel compelled to change the details of it in order to get help. That's on people like her. And it is the most fucked up bullshit that she's trying to shove this into my shoes, that she's, in addition to how much this took for me to talk about, and how much, like, pain it caused initially, like the whole reason why I even did this to begin with, and why many people do this to begin with. Like, it's troubling that she feels the need to then also put the blame of why people aren't believed on me. Right? When the whole reason that we feel like we have to do this is exactly people like her. People like her who don't respond when we say, I'm afraid that you're thinking that this is less bad than the stereotype. People who literally ask the question, if you tell them, because I literally told her like it was both rape, I just changed the details, who literally asks like, well, how did you make it worse then? How did you make it sound worse than it actually was? That is the issue. That we lie is not the issue. The reason why we lie
Mhm.
is the, and I think that people need to very clearly understand that. And that's why I wrote about it, because if someone like me, who deals with this sort of stuff so much and who invests so much time and advocacy around this, if someone like me isn't aware that a lot of people struggle with this and that a lot of people do this for the same reason, because they feel like it's the only way to express their story, because everything else is too painful and because otherwise people probably won't believe them. If someone like me doesn't know that, how many others are out there who don't know that? How many people are ashamed of what they've done, afraid to speak out, who get
Yeah.
judged for doing that, while it's actually really, really normal response to experiencing trauma in a society that is so backwards in its thinking on this whole topic. So I felt compelled to write it anyway, because for a long time after, I mean, for a long time, relatively long time after, I felt like I can't ever say anything again now. I can't do feminism anymore. I can't be an activist. I can't talk about rape. I can never write like another book or a blog post or whatever, because I did this thing, and that renders everything I have to say on the topic like invalid. It invalidates everything. It makes me unbelievable. It you know. So I kind of felt like I was done for on that front, and then I was like, no, no, this is like an important part of what happens, and this is an important part of those experiences that pretty much nobody ever talks about, and
Mhm.
someone should. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Um, and it's scary as fuck because it leaves the door wide open for anti-feminists
Mhm.
to come and spit in my face and be like, "Oh, you're a liar. Self-admittedly lied about rape. This is why
But
feminism
I
is
think
cancer." It
that
leaves the door
people don't
wide open
realize
for
how
that. Yeah.
like people don't realize how brave that is though. Like to own that like, hey, I fucked
Mm.
up. I'm wrong. Like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter what you say about me because I already think
Yeah.
less of myself. So
Mm. Yeah, but it's not even just like a fucked up I fucked up I was wrong thing. It's more than that. It's, yes, I
it
owned,
is.
it's, yeah, it's like, yes, I owned that I did this, and yes, I owned that it wasn't a good decision, that there were better ways to handle that. But at the same time, how much can you really say like you fucked up and you did a bad thing, if the bad thing you did was a coping mechanism with something really horrible that you were a victim of, um and while technically you didn't lie about it happening. It's pretty
Mhm.
much just like, how do I put this? Yeah, I don't know. It's, I don't know how to make that more clear than it already is. I think it is pretty clear. It's like I was
It's
raped.
super
I was
clear.
raped. Yeah, I was raped. I said I was raped. That's the thing. I didn't lie about being raped. I lied about who it was and the circumstances in which it happened, because I felt like people wouldn't accept what the story was, and that is on other people in society, not on my traumatized brain, right? That's the
Mhm.
point. Yeah.
Dope. 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 All right. Some fun stuff.
Yeah.
What is your definition? I don't know how you I self-identify. I didn't ask. Um, so feel free to be like, I don't accept that. But how do you? What is your definition of a man?
I mean, look, to refer back to my utopia, I don't think man should be a concept at all, just like
Mhm.
women or woman shouldn't be a concept at all. So I find it difficult to say how I personally define a man. What is the definition of a man? And in this context that we have today, I can only say that identification is something only you can do. Nobody else
Mhm.
can impose that on you. So if somebody identifies as a man, then that's fine. Then I will consider them a man. And listen, that I have some points to touch on here. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Look, identity is a complex thing, right? It's made up of a lot of aspects, especially like gender identity is relates to what is the current construct of gender, what are the current stereotypes about femininity and masculinity, what is it that our culture and our society currently understands as feminine and masculine, which are the accepted expressions of either of those. How does biology relate to that? Because I mean, I know
Mm-hmm.
people who feel like, okay, my biology has zero shit to do with my gender identity, but I also know people who are like, well, I mean, I put a lot of stock in the fact that I have a vagina and breasts, and that means a lot to me in my identification as a woman. And who am I to say that that should not be a factor for people?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a very individual thing, um, what people consider relevant to their self identification.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, in very short, I think a man is whatever a man wants to be. And I think we currently have a lot of like still rigid, stereotypical bullshit about what men are supposed to be.
Definitely.
Um, but I'm like, if you want to like wear makeup and put on nail polish and go to ballet classes and you feel like you're a man, then honey, fine, be a man,
Yeah.
right? But I realize that this is the open goal for trolls to be like, oh, so like if I am a man and I have a penis and I behave like a man and I dress like a man and I have a beard and I look like a man, but I say I'm a woman, then you have no choice but to
Ugh.
accept that I'm a woman because I say I am. And it's like, no, no, because
Trolls are the worst.
yeah, but the thing is, you are lacking the one essential part of identification, which is identifying as a woman, because you
Mm-hmm.
don't. You're just saying that you're a woman to troll me into having to accept that. But if you do not feel that,
Mm-hmm.
and if that is not a genuine thing, then by basically definition, you are not a woman. You're not a woman just because you say you are, if you don't feel that you are. You can say
Mm-hmm.
whatever the fuck you want, but if that is not your identification is not something that you just verbally state. It's not because you
Mm-hmm.
say a thing that that is your identity. So it's a pretty self-defeating point. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just what you're doing is not identifying as. What you're doing is literally just trolling with an inconsequential argument. So, right? Yeah. And like, look, I can't look
No,
into your
yeah.
head. So if you indeed have a beard and look like a man and dress like a man and act like a man, in the quotation marks, um, and you say, "Well, I identify as a woman," like I have no way of looking into your brain. So technically, I have no way of knowing if you actually identify as a woman or if you're trolling. But I think that the surrounding context and the surrounding ideas that I can see, if I look at the rest of your behavior and the rest of what you think and the context in which you say these things, there is some possibility that I can discern that you're not really being serious. So
Mm-mm.
forgive me if you're like gender trolling me, that I'm not about that life, right? But I'm
And
non-binary for the record, so that's
I'm gonna X out that my next question, and I'm gonna ask, as someone who has just started, how do you what would be your advice for like dealing with trolls? Because
oh,
I'm
honey.
like I'm so sensitive, like, and I'm like, what do you mean you hate me? You don't even know me, but like I want you to like me, like.
No, no, no. Listen, trolls are not worth your breath. So if they annoy you and if they drain your energy, ignore them, block them, mute them, just let them stew in their own patheticness, because what they want from you is a response,
Yeah.
right? They're living for it. They're living for your frustration. And if you're giving them that, then I mean they win. And plus, there is no reason why you should get involved and why you should waste your energy. If it affects you, just like don't do that. Just don't read it, just block it. That's fine. Personally, I am not that bothered. And I'm like, yeah, you're a moron on the internet. Like, why exactly should I care? And I tend to troll back. So what I do is, yeah, I tend to troll back, and I have this nifty little way of doing it, and I'm risking exposing my strategy here to all the trolls I might use it against. But I do this thing where I remain very polite.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will hardly ever insult a troll, like especially not like a hardcore insult. I might comment on their intelligence or their ability to read, stuff like that, but I will always do it in a kind of, I am commenting on your behavior, I am commenting on your
Yeah.
statement, not I
Yeah.
am commenting on you as a person. So that is what I do, and I try to sort of like nitpick stuff. So if they make like stupid arguments, I just troll back with equally convoluted stupid questions. Or I call out, like, I don't technically call out their fallacies, but if they start talking beside the point, I will continuously refer back to the original point and be like, I see what you're doing, this is derailing the conversation, but like, I'm not going to get into that, this is what we were initially talking about, you have not answered this question,
Mhm.
please do. And I have had situations where that happens like 5 times in a row, that someone like keeps ignoring the initial point, and I just keep dragging them back in, and that's more annoying for them than it is for me. I do that when I have time and energy, right? Don't do that if
Mhm.
you're tired and frustrated, because that's not worth it. But this has led to some interesting instances where trolls reply to me and they say, "Oh my god, stop harassing me, leave me alone." And my response is, "Well,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
initiated this conversation. I'm fine with it. If you feel frustrated, you are free to not respond or to use the mute button. Like, it's not hard. I'm not trying to harass you, but you initiated a conversation with me, which I'm just trying to have. And if you're annoyed, there is a door through which you can literally leave. There is
Yeah.
nothing you can do, because these trolls are the same types of people who then use Gab, right? You know, the alt-right Twitter alternative, where the policy is like, listen, if you're annoyed by something, if you don't like something, if you find something offensive, you can just block it or mute it or not engage with it. It is not
Yeah.
someone else's responsibility to keep you in your safe space. So by that
Mhm.
logic, if you're frustrated and feel like I'm harassing you because I'm engaging in a conversation that you started with me, you can just step out of that. That is the power that you hold. That is not up to me.
Mhm.
I don't have to leave you alone. I mean, and it's quite enjoyable, to be fair. To see them come in and be like, "I'm own this bitch," and then half an hour later whine like little bitch babies that they cannot handle your level of asking them to please stick to the point. Um, so that is what I do. But I just listen if you're bothered, and if you can't, like, let it slide off your back like a duck does water. Just ignore it. It's not worth it.
Oh wow, I like that. Oh wow, that's good advice. That's really
Oh,
good advice. Um, I think you already answered that question too, but I'm gonna ask it again. What do
yeah.
you want people to to get from the book? You know, like how at the end of Harry
Mm.
Potter, like it was very like it was just nice knowing that the underdog can still win even though
Yeah.
that there's some casualties. What do you want people to get from your book?
It's like really simple, just some nuance. That is all you need to get from this book. Like, this was very clearly not written to convince everyone and anyone of feminism. This was not written with the purpose of, here, read this, and then you will be convinced of the feminist cause, which also, emphasizes the joke of being brainwashed by the gynocratic agenda in the beginning. The thing is, like, I wrote this just to provide some perspective to the types of people who like to jump to conclusions about feminism, even though they don't really know what feminism is actually about, and especially don't know what the ideas and the perspectives of the person they're talking to are, because feminism is not a monolith, and that is really what I want people to take away from this book. Because
Yeah.
I see a
Yeah.
lot of people in anti-feminist circles describe feminism as this kind of very single set of extreme ideas, where I'm like, okay, but there's various groupings of feminists who really don't agree with this or this or this and who do not do this and this and this. And then there's, for example, TERFs who perhaps, okay, do this, but then really don't agree with this and this and this that you're saying. So it's like, get out of this mindset that you're talking about a very like clear cut monolithic ideology, because you're not.
Mhm.
And get out of this mindset that everyone who you know or think to be a feminist, that you suddenly then are enlightened about all their opinions and all of their behaviors and all of their decisions and everything they've ever done in their lives, because you can't know that. And you're going off of a
Mhm.
straw man that only exists in your own mind. So if you come out of this book literally still hating feminism and finding it fucked up and not agreeing that patriarchy exists and what the fuck ever, that's fine. That wasn't the point.
Mhm.
The point is that I need you to realize that the people you're speaking to are not robots who are all adhering to the exact same standards of this ideology, that they
Mhm.
are people with experiences and a context, just like you are a person with experiences and a context that has caused you to be anti feminist, and which you might also like for people to understand, even if they don't agree with you. You would like people to listen to your ideas, and perhaps you even more would like to listen, would like people to listen to why your ideas are what they are, right?
Mhm.
Because I think there is always some kind of pain associated with any fight. And I think that for anti feminists, no matter how much people try to claim that it's all just entitlement and it's all just dudes not wanting to give up their privilege and what the fuck ever, and there will be those,
Mhm.
I do think that there is a lot of pain in this anti-feminist movement or in anti-feminist spheres, because not all anti-feminists are created equal. You have the pickup artists and the men's
Yeah.
rights activists who really hate each other and don't agree, and then you have the men going the other
Yeah.
way, and there's a whole bunch of shit. And I think that to a certain extent, plenty of these men have their own story and have their own reasons to
Yeah.
sort of project that onto feminism and attribute that to feminism. And I am perfectly aware that there is a good possibility that some of them have encountered really fucked up ragey types of feminists, that's a thing. I mean, fine, but just in the way that I think feminists should not generalize men and should not hate on men, um, and that they should not conflate that with criticizing the stereotypical ways in which we in society today view masculinity. Um, in the same way, I think it is fruitless for people who feel disenfranchised to hate on all feminists and to make a monolith out of feminist ideology, because it's not. Um,
Mhm.
so I think, like, don't fucking generalize. You're talking to real people. Get it into your thick skull.
Exactly.
Pretty much goes for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
is about the thing that I would like to achieve, I guess.
That's dope.
I mean, it is pretty. It would be a lot more dope if actually people would read it. But as it stands, nobody knows who I am, so pretty much nobody buys this book, which is sad. So I just some famous person needs to pick this up and be like, hey, this is interesting. Y'all should read this, and then we're gonna get somewhere. But yeah, I
Well, I'm gonna
think
post
like,
it everywhere because I loved it.
oh, that's great. Thank you.
I would love to. I'm really like I live in like a really shitty city.
Oh,
I don't really know anyone, like, and everyone here is just like in this like little bubble of like, oh, I feel safe here. Like I'm not gonna expand my bubble, and it's very frustrating. And I'm trying to create a theater community here
oh,
of
cool.
people that aren't afraid to do something other than comedy.
Uh huh.
I want to touch on those subjects of mental health and
Yeah.
suicide and rape culture and feminism. Like I want to talk about that, but
Mm-hmm.
like no one wants to talk about it,
Mm.
And I would love to do something with your book.
Oh yeah, feel free. The thing is, like, I have now experienced firsthand because I have a lot of friends who aren't into feminism but who have now read the book, um, and I find that even though I thought that they first wouldn't want to read it, and secondly, if they read it, would probably say, well, okay, whatever, it's kind of bullshit. I found that one, people were actually, even the people I thought would never be interested in reading it were like, oh, hey, but you wrote this, and okay, it may not be my thing, but I would love to see what it's about and I would like to read it. And then the people who already have read it were like, okay, I might disagree with certain things, but this is actually pretty good and I kind of related to this and this and I didn't know about that and that, and I used to have the impression that you were a lot more extreme than you apparently actually are. So from personal experience, it is possible that it does what I intended it to do. So perhaps there are some people in your environment who you can tell like, hey, you know what, read this thing and maybe it does something for them. You never know. There will always be people who just who that won't work for. There will always be people who are already down with things, but I think that there is absolutely like a public, like a demographic for whom this book can really do what it intends to do.
Definitely.
um so yeah, I mean, I hope that if you do find a way to use it in your own community, that it has some merit. Let me know if it does,
I would
because that would
love
be
to.
great.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm gonna
God, love
quickly
to. It's hard,
say
man.
hi
It's so
to
hard.
I'm gonna quickly say hi to Noah because I'm just noticing, like, I don't know if she's still here and how long ago she was here, but I'm just noticing that she's been
Oh,
writing stuff in the chat. Noah is a girl I actually met through
oh no.
YouTubers Dan and Phil. So yeah, she's great. That's so nice of her to come and watch. But if you're still here, hey Noah, thanks for
Hi,
watching. Hi.
Noah.
Well, cool.
um, yes. This was so cool.
Yeah, it was really great. I love that we did this. Like,
I
do you realize
know.
we've been going for like nearly 2 hours?
Nuh-uh. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Oh my
That
God.
is so awesome.
Oh my God. And with so much
Yeah.
work to do. Who's
Oh,
who's
Noah's
Tim?
still here. Yeah. Who? What? Who's who? What did
Someone
I
just
miss?
emailed me.
Oh.
I don't. I have so many unread emails. Just I need an assistant. I need.
I mean, if you
Ugh.
can pay, I will gladly be your assistant because I need to live. And the sales of
Right.
this book ain't doing it for me. So yeah.
And I think oh my God, like just your story is just so inspiring, yo. Like I thought that when I started this whole journey that like
Yeah.
everything would be fixed, my life would be perfect. But it's like
Mhm.
it's no, like it is a journey. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Mhm.
And I sometimes catch myself where I'm like, oh, if I do this, like then I'll make it. If I do this, then I'll make it. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like
Yeah.
there's no there's no
Like
good or bad. It's just
I had that for a very long time, and it caused me to like jump from the one thing to the next. Like everything
mm-hmm.
that I felt like, oh, this would be a good fix right now, and oh, this would be a fast fix, and oh, if I only do this, this will probably take off. And so it caused me to like start things, then eventually like find out that they weren't going as fast or as well as I had hoped, and that they weren't like the fix of my life that I thought they would be. And then something else would come along and I would abandon this first thing without finishing it to jump onto the next thing because that would be better,
Yeah.
but it never is. And that sort of causes you to really get stuck. and it causes your life to stall because you're never really completing anything and you're never fully invested in something, and every time it gets sort of hard and it gets sort of slow when you just like, oh wait, no, but I'm already so far along this line and I really need to get like good and happy right now, and you're constantly looking for quick fixes for the next scheme almost that will do it for you this time, and it doesn't exist. And the
Yeah.
clue is that there is no end point. Everything is a journey.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
there is
Yes.
no, oh, that's where I need to go. The thing is that you're going like right now. Every step that you take is a thing that you do, is a part of your life that you live, and all of it needs to have merit, and all of it needs to be interesting, and everything needs to be something that you can get behind. And it's not supposed to be just the fix for 3 years into the future, or the sacrifice you make now for 5 years into the future. I mean, of course, you have to make sacrifices in life, but I mean, you know what I mean. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So there is no point almost in feeling like, okay, if I do this, then it's gonna be all right. You have to stop looking at stuff in your life as a remedy almost to things like medicine.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Oh my God.
your
Yeah.
life is your life,
Yeah.
right? It's not like you're sick and broken now and that there is going to be magically something that fixes it. Your life is your life. It's not
Mm-hmm.
some separate entity. It's not one thing now and another thing tomorrow. It's you know, and the things you do are not the fix. They are the thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
basically the point. So yeah, and it's like the moment that I realized that and just sort of stopped chasing new fixes all the time is also the moment that I sort of stopped frequently doing YouTube. Um, and sort of really focused on, no, what do I want. I don't need to constantly like cater to an audience, because I was very afraid that if I stopped regularly uploading and whatnot, that I would lose audience and that I would never be where I would like to be, and that I would never build a following, and that I would never have. And then I was
But you
like,
have a
oh,
huge following, though.
I mean, not really. I've done YouTube for like over 2 years, almost 3 years now, I think. And it's like a lot of these people come and go. A lot of people subscribe but then stop watching, and you get new subscribers, and
Mm-hmm.
the number might be like 13 or 1400 right now, but not that many people are gonna watch your videos. And still, that doesn't really, 1400 people doesn't really mean all that much. And not that these people individually mean nothing. um
Yeah.
Appreciate the people that come and watch, and there are a number of people who really also personally engage with me on Twitter, for example, and who I've come to know and who I'm mutuals with and who I follow, and it's so nice, and they appreciate who I am and I appreciate who they are. And I've met some really nice people throughout this YouTube thing. But initially it was like, oh, but I have so many things to tell people and to show the world, and it was a very narcissistic endeavor. It was this thing like, oh, if only I can be popular on YouTube, if only people can see me on YouTube, if only people think that what I do is great, then things will be fine. Then I
Yeah.
can be happy. Then I'll have some
Yeah.
appreciation. I'll feel that I'm worth something. And you start out thinking that you're not gonna just like do it for the fame. You're not gonna do it for the money, and you're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
do it to express your creativity. But very, very soon you find yourself needing to sort of cater to an audience, afraid to not upload frequently enough because people might leave. If you upload a video and it does less well than other videos, you start kind of wondering like, what's wrong
Oh
with
my
what did I
God.
do wrong?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
becomes, even if it doesn't consciously start out as a narcissistic thing, it becomes a very narcissistic
Very.
measure of your worth. And it's sort of just
Yeah.
projecting what your value as a person on an outward sort of number, on this arbitrary aspect of your existence. And it's a very dangerous slippery slope, and I really needed to sort of
Very.
cut myself off from that. There was this point where I was like, wow, what I'm doing right now is so pointless. Like I'm stressing out so much over, oh, I have to upload a video this week and not knowing what to make, and then making just randomly something, being proud of it for a day, and then a day later realizing that it's pretty shit because it's not something that I wanted to do. It's something that I sort of quickly had to do in order to have content. And that just doesn't work. And this book is one of the first things in my life that I'm actually proud of, because it did not have the goal of, ooh, this is gonna get me fame and fortune. I didn't announce this before it actually happened. I mean, I announced it before I published it, but I didn't announce it before it was actually ready. Where I used to announce content and announce songs and blog posts and whatever before I was even writing it, because the point was to get people to engage, and this was a thing that I
Mm-hmm.
just needed and wanted to write. And if people are engaging with it, then that's great. And if it is of value to people, then that's awesome. But this is one of the very few things that I've done in my life that I actually did because I needed to express something, because I wanted to do it, and not with the idea of this is going to fix my future.
Yeah.
It's
I
a big
apologize. Like I don't know how I missed that you sang.
Oh, yeah, I mean, lots of people miss that. The thing is,
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
how I
people
missed
stumble
that.
onto like the fan fiction or something and then see all the fan fiction stuff and just sort of miss the car. I mean, it's yeah. Which and
I feel
the
so
cover
I
the
feel so
cover songs.
stupid.
Don't. You're not the only person to just sort of randomly miss out on half of what's on my channel. But the thing is, like, the music covers are nearly the only thing that are still up, because I privated a lot of stuff, because now I've wrote this book. um I have a curious cat, and apparently for some reason, even though it's not linked on my Twitter profile, a lot of people are finding it, and I'm getting questions from MRAs and MGTOWs and whatnot, who are overall sort of
Oh,
polite. So far, there were a few people who called me a cunt, but what else is new? But I was kind of like, okay, I've published this book, and it wouldn't be the first time that people go onto my YouTube channel or onto my blogs and just sort of screenshot weird shit and use those as an excuse to mock me. And it's not that I'm
oh
really
my
bothered, but I
God.
feel like it would really derail the conversation. So I have privated a lot of things that aren't very charitable, let's just say, to my persona. Even though I'm not ashamed of them, but I think they might derail the more serious business that I'm doing currently. So that is
Oh,
why.
show the book cover. I'm gonna screenshot
Ta-da!
you.
Ooh.
Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Hold, please. 3, 2, 1. Yay!
Yay!
Okay.
Okay, cool. I'm just staring into my camera for a good 15 seconds. Yeah, cool, great. Oh, Noah's apparently going. Oh no. Oh yeah, okay. I was reading Noah in the chat, who said there's a big difference between saying you need to go somewhere and you want to go somewhere. So yeah.
That's real. That was real.
Mm. Noah is a very real person. Like, this girl is 15, but hell, she's got a mind.
15?
Yeah.
Really? Good.
Yeah.
Start young. I wish I started young. Oh my God. Like,
I mean, same. I
I'll
didn't start
slap
young
young Ashley
either.
so hard.
But
Who shoots your videos?
what?
Who shoots your videos?
Oh, I do, and occasionally I have a friend, Yoker, who operates the camera if it's like too hard to do it by
And
myself.
you have a professional camera?
I mean, it's a Canon DSLR.
What?
Yeah, why? Which video are you watching?
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm like not paying attention to you at all. The Lady Gaga one.
Oh yeah, no, that one I did all by myself. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Oh yeah, I did. I took my camera and my tripod, and I just went to it's an old like military domain that is not in use anymore. So I sort of just went there and set up all by my lonesome.
What?
Mm, yeah.
Yo, you are like amazing.
I
Sorry.
mean,
Okay.
thanks.
You are. Oh my God. Like, what? I can't do that. What?
There's other things that you can probably do that I can't. I mean, I can't dance to save my life, just to name a thing. So I guess to each their own talent.
That's amazing. You're
Yeah.
so cool.
Thanks.
Okay, final thoughts.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
Well, your final thoughts or my final thoughts?
Your final thoughts. Your final thoughts.
Listen, it's my book. I wrote the bitch. I think I have expressed all the thoughts that I could possibly have. So if I may be curious, I am very interested in just your overall thoughts about, the book and this talk and what it was like, and
Oh my
what
God.
we've learned today.
The first thought that came to my mind, and it's been sitting with me ever since that MGTOW talk.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of friends, ex-friends say, what were you expecting when you volunteered to talk with this guy? And I like to surround myself like with positivity, with light, and with love. Excuse me. And just that interaction and all the hate that I got, I was just like, why am I doing this? And then now, like, people are like throwing this feminist label on me, and I don't like to label myself as a feminist. I just think that women rock, and I think I could do my job better than you. Sorry, like, I just, and it just reinforced the idea that identity is what you make it, labels is what you make it, and there's so much trauma and so much damage from specifically men. I don't I don't want to speak on the trauma that men have to go through because I'm not one.
Yeah.
But it just reinforced the idea that I'm not alone in like and how I was raised, and there is nothing wrong with me. Like, I mean, there's something wrong with me, but there's nothing wrong with there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with me. Like, I don't know, just reading it made me feel like a little less alone. So for those of
Oh,
you from my channel that are watching, I definitely suggest that you read this book. It's not brainwashing. It's just opening your eyes to see that as a millennial, which we both are,
yeah.
shit was wrong.
Oh yeah, shit was
Shit
so
was
wrong.
wrong with the way that we were raised, and
Yeah.
that's okay because now that like we have an opportunity to change it. And it's
Yeah.
okay to talk about it. And I hate when I see millennials are like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. I can't talk about that. Like, no, fucking talk about it. Because it's
Yeah.
going to eat you up inside
Mm-hmm.
for days.
Yep.
And there's still some things that I don't talk about out loud that I'm like, and that's when I pick up my phone and I record myself because I'm like, fuck, I have to talk about this. And that's when I get the most feedback because they're like, you're right, I felt like this. I'm like, well, I started my channel because I was really, really heartbroken. And I remember I called my ex one day just crying and sobbing. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. I hate that I have to relive this every day because people ask me all the time, like, why did you start your channel? I'm like, I'm like, I think the title's pretty self-explanatory, but I guess I'll tell you again. I'll live through that pain again and again and again for the rest of my life. But it's necessary
Yeah.
because I don't want people to have to go through what we went through
Mm-hmm.
at
Yeah.
all.
Same. That is like, yeah. Yeah,
And
and
it's so avoidable. If I would have just been like, "Hey, Ashley, this isn't a good situation to be in. You should go home." Like,
mhm,
"Hey,
yeah.
Ashley,
Yeah.
like this job
But no,
sucks. You
like
should quit."
in order to do that, you have to like realize that and for me that relates a lot to like getting myself into situations where I was taken advantage of. It's like if I had learned that these things were normal,
It's
and that
not.
this wasn't like okay, and that this wasn't just the way the world works and not just the way men and women treat each other, I would have been able to avoid kind of so much trouble that I got myself into. But it's like I was
Mhm.
raised with these kinds of ideas that this pushing of my boundaries was normal, if I even had an idea that I could have boundaries and what those were, because I lived in this world where it was very important to just please guys all the time,
Mhm.
and where that was the regular thing to do, and where that was just sort of presented to me as the job that girls in society had, and that everybody agreed on that, and that was the way everybody did it, and I had no evidence to the contrary. So, you know, um but to sort of get back on when you said like it's that the book is like not like extreme or whatever. I have one review
It's
on
not.
Amazon.
Yeah.
I have one review on Amazon which
Do
says,
you?
yeah, from a guy, which says,
Oh wow.
as a card carrying member of the Rational Skeptics TM, I'm not sure whether I should be delighted or disappointed. The dramatic cover picture and provocative title create the slight expectation that this book would be nothing more than 180 plus pages of easily dismissed psychotic ranting spouted by a deluded and thoroughly frustrated harpy straight from the deepest abyss of the far left hell. That is not what this book is. What this book is a
Wow.
highly personal, reasonable, and nuanced account of the author's views and experiences on a number of feminists in the broad sense topics. A large part of the book is dedicated to shades of sexual violence, while most of the rest covers LGBT plus related topics covering both sexuality and gender. It's well written and often reads as a structured stream of consciousness. Definitely $5 well spent. So
Wow. That's really
yeah, it was
nice.
really great. Like I started reading the first part and I was like, "Oh fuck, where is this going?" But then
I
it was
know, right?
really good. So
Ugh.
yeah. Yeah. So that was nice. That's pretty much all I
my
can hope
review
for, I
is
guess.
not gonna. My review is not gonna be that eloquent at all. I was being
I mean
like, yo,
the
this book
fact
is
I
dope.
mean, please do write a review because that really helps.
Do I need an like account to write a
Probably,
review?
yeah. Probably.
Ugh. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like an old woman where it's like, oh, I
And
don't wanna.
if it doesn't like if it doesn't work out on Amazon, because I think I don't know if new accounts can write reviews on Amazon. I think you have to purchase like some stuff. But if it doesn't work out on Amazon, I mean, write one on Goodreads. That helps too.
No one uses Goodreads.
I
I'm
mean,
going to.
some people use Goodreads. No, you know what?
Oh,
I am
different
not
account.
going to. Okay, that's cool. Like, look at me live on stream, just sort of begging you to improve my ratings by writing a review for
No, you
me.
didn't ask at all. You did not ask at all. I'm doing it because I
That's
love
so
the
great.
book.
Thanks. Oh, that's sweet.
I don't remember what I bought from Amazon, but apparently I used it once.
Okay. Well, I mean, are you going to write your review on stream, or should we maybe like first close it off?
Yes, we're gonna close it off. Apparently, I need to buy something. It's weird.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
It was like really nice that you wanted to do this. It was great. It was a good
No, it
talk.
was really nice that you like asked to talk to me. Like I'm a nobody, yo.
Oh, come on. Like
I am
like
literally like a
we're
nobody.
both pretty much nobodies. Just I mean,
Thank you so much for meeting with me. This
obviously.
was so rewarding. Hold on,
It was just
I'm gonna
really
find my
great.
credit. I'm gonna find my credit card in a second. I'll do it later. Okay.
No, it was like it was really nice to just sort of be able to talk about the book, because it can be like a kind of lonely struggle. Like, hey, I did a thing that I think is cool and that I'm proud of and that
Yeah.
I think is important,
Yeah.
and you sort of have to constantly self promo all the time, and it's nice if someone is like, okay, like kind of dig this, let's talk about it, because it
Mhm.
feels less lonely in this universe where feminism is kind of a toxic buzzword almost.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was really cool. It was really nice talking to you. And also, like, I watched your videos, and it was like, she just seems like a cool person to discuss this with. Like, I think that would be awesome. And it was kind of awesome. So thank you for that. That is really
Thank
cool. I
you.
think we
Yes,
should we should find like more topics to, like, maybe this month
yes.
or
I'm gonna
every two
message
months.
you.
Just be like, hey, here's a couple of things. What are your thoughts on that? Let's just sort of prepare and talk about this controversial thing that happened in the manosphere this month or something. Um, yeah, that'd be nice. We should do this again
Yes,
sometime.
we should. I'm still gonna message you after I
Okay,
find
great.
my credit card and I eat some food after drinking
Yeah, it's
three
awesome.
quarters of
I
this
have to
wine.
go get dinner as well. Like, my parents are downstairs and they were like, "So we don't have to call you when food's ready." I'm like, "No, I'm streaming." So which means that I'm pretty hungry. And yeah, so I mean,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
so I'm gonna have some food, which is gonna be good.
Same.
Yeah. Okay, cool. This is super nice. I'm the one who has to, like, stop this
Oh
thing,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
hey,
Okay.
let's just also say goodbye to the 3 people, including me, who are watching right now, which is also probably still Noah. Um, so we're gonna go. I hope it was interesting. If you're watching this back on YouTube, I'm sorry this is over 2 hours long, but hey, you stuck around apparently, so that's cool.
Thank you for
Um,
sticking around.
if you want to check out, if you're watching this on my channel, if you want to check out Ashley's channel, the link is in the description below. If you want to buy Feminazi, that link is also in the description below. For the people who are watching this on Ashley's channel, I'm sure Ashley is nice enough to also include links to my stuff in her description. So the description is the place to be, basically. That's where the party's at. So right. I think we're ready to to go our separate ways for a bit. And
For
then
now.
hopefully do a
Oh
lot
my god, I
more
hate
shit
goodbyes.
together in the future. It's gonna be fine. We're fine. We're fine. I'm just gonna click this stop broadcasting thing to the people. Goodbye. We love thee, or something. Ashley,
Okay.
I'll see you around.
All right. Bye.
Bye.